You're 67 years old, sitting at your kitchen table, starting the day with what you think is a healthy breakfast: a bowl of fresh fruit, maybe a banana, some grapes, and a glass of orange juice on the side. It feels like the right choice. Natural, packed with vitamins. Doctors always say eat more fruit, right? But within an hour, your energy suddenly crashes. You feel shaky, irritable, maybe even a little dizzy. You chalk it up to age or not sleeping well. But what if I told you that this so-called healthy breakfast might be secretly spiking your blood sugar far higher than you ever imagined? And that for seniors, this silent surge can be downright dangerous? I'm Dr. Maria Lopez, and today we're going to talk about a topic that most seniors are never warned about. I'm glad you're here. Today, we're going to talk about 4 common fruits that seniors over 60 should avoid or seriously limit, especially if you're concerned about energy crashes, diabetes, or keeping your heart and brain sharp. These aren't exotic fruits nobody eats. These are likely sitting in your fridge or fruit basket right now. You've probably eaten one this week, maybe even today. And before you think, oh, but fruit is natural, it can't be bad, let me ask you this. Do you know how your body processes fruit sugars differently now than when you were younger? Do you know which fruits act almost like candy in disguise, causing your insulin to spike and crash again and again? Most people, including many seniors, don't. And that's exactly why so many are unknowingly sabotaging their health every day. Let's talk numbers. According to the American Diabetes Association, over 25% of adults over 65 in the US already have diabetes, and nearly 50% are in the pre-diabetic range, many without knowing it. That means every second or third person watching this right now is either already affected or on the edge of developing serious blood sugar problems. And it gets worse. Most seniors experience what's called postprandial hyperglycemia. That's a fancy way of saying your blood sugar shoots up dramatically after you eat, and your aging body just doesn't bring it back down efficiently anymore. This is more than just a sugar crash. These spikes and crashes damage your blood vessels, exhaust your pancreas, speed up memory loss, contribute to fatigue, brain fog, and even depression. And they quietly increase your risk of heart disease, stroke, nerve damage, kidney failure, and vision problems. That's the phrase we hear all the time. I'm not eating cookies or cake, it's just fruit. But here's the truth. Not all fruits are created equal. And some are absolutely loaded with fast-digesting natural sugars, particularly fructose and glucose, which hit your bloodstream hard and fast. And for someone over 60, those sugars don't get processed the same way they used to. Here's why. As we age, our insulin sensitivity drops. That means it takes more insulin to manage the same amount of sugar. Our liver becomes less efficient at converting fructose into energy, often storing it as fat instead, especially around the belly, liver, and heart. And our metabolism slows, so we're less able to burn off those extra sugars with activity, which means more gets stored and the spikes last longer. What you eat now has a much greater impact on your blood sugar than it did at 30 or 40. Let me share a story. Margaret, 72, was trying her best to eat clean after a recent borderline diabetes diagnosis. She swapped pastries for fruit, skipped the bread, started walking daily. But her fasting blood sugar kept climbing. Her doctor wanted to start medication, but Margaret insisted she was doing everything right. So we looked at her daily habits. One thing stood out. Every morning, she was eating a banana and a few slices of watermelon. Later in the day, she'd snack on raisins. And each night, a glass of fresh orange juice. Natural, yes. Healthy, not exactly. Blood sugar bombs? Absolutely. Within a week of cutting those 3 fruits and switching to lower glycemic options, which we'll talk about later, her morning numbers started to drop. Her energy came back, and she started losing that stubborn weight. Margaret didn't need more willpower. She just needed better information. Now let's be clear. Fruit can be healthy. But the way fruit is grown, harvested, and eaten today is very different from what our grandparents enjoyed. Fruits are now bred to be sweeter, especially grapes, bananas, and apples. We eat far more fruit per sitting, sometimes 2 to 3 servings at once. And fruit juices? They're essentially liquid sugar with none of the fiber to slow it down. The result? A supercharged sugar hit that your aging body simply wasn't built to handle anymore. And even more shocking, some fruits raise your blood sugar faster than a candy bar. Yes, you read that right. Now that we've talked about why seniors need to be especially cautious with fruit, let's take a deeper look into what actually happens inside your body when you eat fruit, and why some fruits can be more harmful than helpful. The truth is, your body's ability to manage sugar changes dramatically as you age. And it's not just about how much sugar you consume, it's about how your body processes it. Let's break this down step by step, and you'll begin to understand why some healthy fruits may be silently working against your energy, your weight, and your overall well-being. What is fruit sugar? Really, fruit contains several types of sugar, but the main ones you need to know about are glucose, fructose, sucrose. Glucose is the body's primary energy source. Your muscles and brain rely on it, but too much of it at once spikes your blood sugar. Fructose is sweeter than glucose and is metabolized differently. It's processed in your liver, and that's where many problems begin. Sucrose is what we commonly call table sugar. It's a 50-50 combination of glucose and fructose. Many fruits are high in this as well. So when you eat a sweet fruit, like a banana, grapes, or mango, you're not just consuming a little bit of sugar. You may be delivering a concentrated hit of all 3 types, which puts a strain on multiple organs, especially if you're over 60. What happens after you eat fruit? Here's the typical process your body goes through after you eat a piece of fruit. Digestion begins in the mouth and stomach. The sugars in fruit are broken down quickly because they're simple carbohydrates. Your blood sugar begins to rise, especially if the fruit is high in glucose or low in fiber. The sugar enters your bloodstream fast. Your pancreas releases insulin. This hormone's job is to move sugar from your blood into your cells for energy or storage. If sugar is in excess, your body stores the extra, usually as fat in the liver and around the abdomen. Your energy crashes. Once insulin has moved the sugar out of your blood, you may feel tired or hungry again, even though you just ate. In a younger, insulin-sensitive person, this process is relatively smooth. Blood sugar rises, insulin responds, and the system resets. But for seniors, especially those with prediabetes or insulin resistance, this system becomes sluggish. Insulin doesn't work as efficiently. Sugar lingers longer in the bloodstream. The liver becomes overwhelmed with fructose. Fat storage increases, and inflammation builds. Why fructose is a bigger problem for seniors? Let's talk specifically about fructose, because this is the type of sugar found in high amounts in many healthy fruits, like apples, bananas, watermelon, and grapes. Fructose is processed exclusively in the liver, unlike glucose, which is used by every cell in your body. That means when you eat a high fructose fruit, your liver has to handle the entire load. If you're under 40 and active, your liver can usually handle this just fine. But as you age, your liver function may slow. Many seniors already have fatty liver disease or are at risk of developing it, even without alcohol consumption. When you add excess fructose on top of that, it accelerates the problem. Here's what happens when too much fructose hits the liver. The liver converts it into triglycerides, a type of fat. These fats are stored in the liver, belly, and bloodstream. Triglyceride levels rise, increasing heart disease risk. Insulin resistance gets worse, and the cycle continues. Multiple studies have linked high fructose intake with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, insulin resistance, and visceral fat accumulation, all of which are major health risks for older adults. How fiber affects sugar absorption. Now, here's where things get interesting. Not all fruit affects your blood sugar the same way, and fiber is a major reason why. Fruits that are high in fiber, like berries, pears with the skin, or apples with the peel intact, cause a slower release of sugar into your bloodstream. That means a more stable insulin response, less fat storage, and fewer crashes in energy. On the other hand, fruits that are low in fiber and high in sugar, like watermelon, pineapple, grapes, or fruit juice, hit your system like a freight train. The key principle here is this: fiber slows the flow. When you eat fruit with fiber, it forms a gel-like substance in your gut, slowing digestion and sugar absorption. But when fiber is removed, like in fruit juice or dried fruits, it's essentially pure sugar entering your system rapidly. This is why, for seniors especially, fiber content should always be part of the conversation when choosing fruit. You've probably heard of the glycemic index, GI, a scale that measures how quickly a food raises blood sugar. But here's something more useful: glycemic load, GL. Glycemic load takes into account both the speed of sugar release and the amount of sugar in a typical serving. For example, watermelon has a high glycemic index but a low glycemic load because it's mostly water. Bananas and grapes have both a moderate to high glycemic index and a high glycemic load. So even though watermelon digests quickly, it has less total sugar than something like grapes, which are dense with sugar and easy to overeat. As a senior, it's wise to choose fruits that are both low on the glycemic index and low in glycemic load, especially if you're managing blood sugar or insulin resistance. If you're not regularly checking your blood glucose, here are some signs that your body might be struggling with sugar, even from fruit. You feel tired after eating. You crave sweets or carbs shortly after meals. You experience headaches, dizziness, or mood swings. You get hungry quickly after eating fruit. You notice weight gain around the belly. You wake up feeling unrested despite sleeping through the night. These are all subtle symptoms that your insulin is working overtime, and it's not winning the fight. Before we move on to the actual list of harmful fruits, let's address 3 categories that seniors often think are healthy. Fruit juice. 1 glass of orange juice can have the sugar of 4 to 6 oranges, and no fiber to slow it down. This causes a massive blood sugar surge and should be avoided, especially by those with prediabetes or diabetes. Smoothies. While they can be healthy, most store-bought or homemade smoothies are loaded with bananas, mangoes, and fruit juice. Without enough protein or fiber, they can spike blood sugar dramatically. Dried fruit. Raisins, dates, dried apricots. They may seem small, but they are concentrated sugar bombs. A handful of raisins has as much sugar as a can of soda. These forms of fruit are often worse than the whole fruit, especially for seniors, because they strip away the protective elements, fiber, water content, and leave only the sugar behind. Now that we've looked at the science behind sugar in fruit and how it affects your body differently as you age, it's time to get specific. In this section, I'll walk you through the 4 most problematic fruits for seniors who want to stabilize blood sugar, maintain energy, protect brain health, and reduce inflammation. These fruits may seem harmless, even healthy, but they can cause unexpected insulin spikes, cravings, and long-term metabolic damage. I'll break each one down by how much sugar it contains, how it behaves in the body, the science behind its effects, what symptoms to look out for, and finally, safer alternatives you can enjoy instead. Let's count down from number 4 to number 1, and I promise, number 1 will surprise you. Number 4, grapes, nature's candy with a dangerous twist. Let's start with a fruit most seniors snack on without a second thought: grapes. Grapes are sweet, hydrating, bite-sized, and easy to overeat. But here's the problem. They're one of the highest sugar fruits per ounce, and they're extremely low in fiber. Just 1 cup of grapes contains over 23 grams of sugar, less than 1 gram of fiber. That's more sugar than a chocolate chip cookie. But it feels healthy, so most people never question it. When you eat grapes, you're getting a fast-acting hit of glucose and fructose. The sugars are absorbed rapidly, especially when you eat them on their own or in large quantities, which is easy to do. You don't feel full from a handful of grapes, so you keep going, and that's where the blood sugar spike happens. Why this is dangerous for seniors. Grapes have a high glycemic load, which means they raise blood sugar significantly in a typical portion. They contain little to no fiber to slow digestion. They cause a quick surge of insulin, followed by a crash, leading to fatigue and cravings. Better alternatives. If you love grapes, try replacing them with blueberries or blackberries. These are lower in sugar, higher in fiber, and packed with antioxidants that support brain and heart health. Number 3. Bananas. Convenient, but deceptively high in sugar. Bananas are one of the most commonly consumed fruits in the world, especially among seniors who want something easy to peel, chew, and digest. But the truth is, ripe bananas can contain as much sugar as a candy bar. A medium banana has 14 to 17 grams of sugar, only 3 grams of fiber, and a glycemic index between 60 and 70 depending on ripeness. The riper the banana, the more sugar it contains. Those brown-spotted bananas many people love, they've converted most of their starch into sugar. Why this matters for seniors? Bananas can spike blood sugar quickly, especially when eaten alone or for breakfast, when insulin sensitivity is already low. Many seniors use bananas in smoothies, often with fruit juice, making the blood sugar hit even worse. That quick digestion can lead to a sharp energy crash by mid-morning. Symptoms to watch for. If you feel tired or hungry within 60 to 90 minutes of eating a banana, it could be due to a sugar crash. You may also notice increased cravings or mental fog later in the day. Better alternatives. Try half a banana paired with a spoonful of almond butter or Greek yogurt. The fat and protein will slow the sugar absorption. Or swap the banana entirely for chopped apple with skin, which has more fiber and a slower impact on blood glucose. Number 2. Watermelon, a hydrating fruit that hits too fast. Watermelon is often viewed as the perfect summer fruit, refreshing, hydrating, and light. But despite being mostly water, watermelon can spike blood sugar very rapidly. And here's why. A typical 1-cup serving of watermelon contains about 11 grams of sugar, virtually 0 fiber, and a glycemic index of around 80. That's very high. Watermelon has a deceptively low glycemic load in small portions. But let's be honest, no one eats just 1 cup of watermelon. Most people eat large wedges or fill a bowl. And because it's not filling, you often reach for more within minutes. For seniors, the rapid digestion of watermelon poses a risk. It causes a sudden insulin spike without providing long-term satiety. It leads to post-meal fatigue and sugar crashes. It can trigger cravings for more sugar shortly after. Signs this fruit may be a problem for you. If you notice you get sleepy, shaky, or irritable shortly after eating watermelon, or if you find yourself hungry again too soon, your blood sugar may be reacting poorly to it. Better alternatives. For hydration, try cucumber slices with a touch of sea salt or cantaloupe, which has a lower glycemic index and slightly more fiber. Pair your fruit with some protein or fat to minimize the blood sugar impact. Number 1. Fruit juice, the most dangerous form of fruit for seniors. Now let's talk about what I consider the number 1 worst fruit-based item for blood sugar, and that's fruit juice. Yes, I know it's marketed as natural, healthy, and full of vitamin C. But what most people don't realize is that fruit juice is just sugar water with the fiber removed. Take orange juice, for example. 1 small glass, 8 oz, contains 20 to 25 grams of sugar. That's the sugar equivalent of 4 to 6 whole oranges. And it enters your bloodstream in minutes. There's no chewing, no fiber, and no satiety. Your body doesn't even register it as food, which is why drinking juice leads to overconsumption and repeated blood sugar spikes. Here's what happens when seniors drink fruit juice regularly. Fasting blood glucose starts creeping up, triglycerides increase, belly fat accumulates, and energy levels crash after every meal. It's especially dangerous in the morning when many seniors drink juice on an empty stomach. The result is a massive insulin response, followed by fatigue, irritability, and hunger before noon. Even 100% juice is a problem. It may be natural, but it behaves more like soda in the body. Better alternatives. If you love fruit flavor in the morning, try infused water with slices of lemon, cucumber, or berries, herbal teas with cinnamon or citrus, a smoothie with whole fruit, fiber, and protein, blended, not juiced. And if you must drink juice occasionally, limit it to 2 to 3 ounces and always pair it with protein or fat to blunt the impact. You've made it this far, and that tells me something important. You're serious about protecting your health, taking control of your diet, and aging with energy, clarity, and independence. In the last section, we uncovered the 4 worst fruits that can silently spike blood sugar and undermine the health of seniors. These were fruits that are widely consumed, often with the best intentions, but with surprisingly harmful effects. Now, let's shift the focus. In this final section, I want to empower you with real solutions. We'll cover the best fruits for stable blood sugar, how to combine foods to reduce sugar impact, the right time of day to eat fruit, lifestyle tweaks that help regulate insulin naturally, and how to build habits that keep you strong, focused, and feeling your best. Let's begin with the good news. You don't need to give up fruit entirely. You simply need to be smarter about what kind you eat, how much, and when. While some fruits are high in sugar and low in fiber, others offer the opposite: modest sugar content, lots of fiber, and powerful antioxidants. These fruits support blood sugar control while also protecting your heart, brain, and gut. Here are the top options I recommend to my senior patients. 1. Berries. Blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, and strawberries. Low in sugar, high in fiber, packed with antioxidants, especially anthocyanins. Support cognitive function, circulation, and inflammation control. 1 cup of raspberries, for example, has about 5 grams of sugar and 8 grams of fiber, an ideal combination for keeping blood sugar steady. Tip: eat them with Greek yogurt or sprinkle on chia pudding for a blood sugar-friendly breakfast or snack. 2. Green apples, with skin. Unlike red apples, green apples have a lower glycemic load and more fiber when eaten with the skin. About 10 grams of sugar per small apple. Nearly 4 grams of fiber, contain pectin, which supports gut and heart health. Tip: slice and pair with almond or peanut butter. The fat slows digestion and keeps you full longer. 3. Pears. Pears are another excellent fruit for seniors. A medium pear has around 17 grams of sugar, but it also provides 6 grams of fiber. The fiber slows sugar absorption and helps manage cholesterol. Tip: choose firm pears and eat them with the skin. Roasting them with cinnamon can make them a great dessert without added sugar. 4. Cherries. Cherries are lower on the glycemic index than many assume, and they have natural anti-inflammatory benefits. A half cup of fresh cherries contains around 8 grams of sugar, rich in polyphenols that support joint and heart health. Tip: buy fresh or frozen, not canned in syrup. And don't overeat. A handful is usually plenty. 5. Kiwi. Often overlooked, kiwis are small but mighty. Around 6 grams of sugar per fruit. High in vitamin C, fiber, and potassium. Tip: you can eat the skin for extra fiber, or slice it and add to a small salad with nuts or seeds. The way you combine foods is just as important as what you eat. When fruit is eaten on its own, especially in the morning or between meals, it digests rapidly and causes a quicker rise in blood sugar. But when fruit is eaten with fat, protein, or fiber, the sugar is absorbed more slowly, and you avoid the crash that often follows. Here are some effective pairings: berries plus cottage cheese or Greek yogurt, apple slices plus almond butter, pears plus a handful of walnuts, chia pudding plus kiwi or blueberries, oatmeal plus flax seeds plus chopped strawberries. Remember, never drink fruit juice on an empty stomach. If you must include fruit in a smoothie, always add protein, like whey or pea protein, fat, like nut butter or avocado, and fiber, chia seeds, flax, oats. These additions dramatically reduce the glycemic response of the fruit. Most people don't realize this, but the timing of your fruit intake can affect your blood sugar just as much as the type of fruit. Here's what I advise based on decades of research and experience. Avoid fruit first thing in the morning, especially alone. This is when insulin sensitivity is lowest and your body is more vulnerable to a spike. Best time, after a balanced meal containing protein and fat. This keeps the overall glycemic load lower and provides more stable energy. Also safe, post-workout or after a walk. Physical activity increases insulin sensitivity and helps your body process sugars more efficiently. If you enjoy fruit in the evening, make sure to balance it with protein or fiber so it doesn't disturb your sleep or cause overnight glucose elevations. Your diet is the most powerful tool for managing blood sugar, but it's not the only one. Here are 5 daily habits that can make a big difference for seniors. 1. Walk after meals. Just 10 to 15 minutes of gentle walking after a meal can lower your post-meal blood sugar by as much as 30%. This simple habit improves insulin sensitivity and prevents the sluggish, tired feeling many people get after eating. 2. Stay hydrated. Dehydration can concentrate blood sugar and make insulin resistance worse. Aim for 6 to 8 cups of water daily. Herbal teas and infused water count too. 3. Prioritize protein. Seniors often undereat protein, yet it's essential for stabilizing blood sugar and maintaining muscle. Try to include 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal, especially at breakfast and lunch. 4. Get consistent sleep. Poor sleep increases cortisol, which raises blood sugar. Aim for 7 to 8 hours per night and avoid high-sugar fruits or carbs before bed. 5. Manage stress. Chronic stress raises blood sugar through a hormone called cortisol. Meditation, walking, hobbies, and connecting with loved ones can all help. So can deep breathing or short prayer sessions before meals. I'm Dr. Maria Lopez, and I hope this video has helped you feel more empowered and informed. If it has, please consider subscribing to this channel, leaving a comment, or sharing this video with someone you care about. Let me know. Have you noticed changes in how your body handles sugar? What fruit swaps have worked best for you? Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.